Hi, good evening all. I'll just make sure that my voice is clear. Yeah, I hope I'm audible now. So we'll wait for the guests to join and we can start the session. So in the fifth episode of Infinity at Insti, so today we have two guests. One is Kate and we'll also have Leonora. Hi Kate. So yeah, it's not yet initialized I guess. Let's wait for a while. Yeah, so let me check. Okay, I think she's just trying to connect. Yeah, she's giving a request again. Yeah, I hope she'll be able to join now.
I'm back.
Hi.
Hi.
Yeah. Cool. So yeah, I think Leonora has also joined. So I'm just giving her a request.
Yes.
Yeah. Hello.
Hi.
I'm so excited to have you both together because I think both of you have two like artists having for practicing different types of art. So I'm so excited to have you here today. Yeah, we have already shared a bio of both of you, so I'll just briefly tell like in one or two lines about what you both do, and then you can continue from there. So Kate is a cancer previvor and she uses art forms to create cancer awareness, and she's special love for batik designs is what I know. So Kate, would you like to add on to this?
Sure. So in 2019, I took a DNA test to determine whether or not I had a genetic predisposition to cancer. And it turned out I did. And I have a positive BRCA1 gene. So BRCA stands for, BRCA stands for the breast cancer gene. And that puts my risk of getting breast cancer sometime in my lifetime in about the 80% range, ballpark. And it also increased my risk for getting ovarian cancer in my lifetime, I think somewhere in the 60% range, but in my brain, it was 100%. Nobody in my family had had breast cancer. Every woman had either passed away of ovarian cancer or didn't have the gene. So I think anybody that was positive that had the gene has died of ovarian cancer. Every single person in my family, aside from my mother and I, have had cancer. So I kind of knew growing up, this might be inevitable. This might be a part of my life. And for the 10 years before that diagnosis, I made all of these paintings about death and dying and sadness and just the fear of getting cancer. And then that test came back positive, and it just kind of reaffirmed all of my fears. Like, I'm not crazy. This actually is happening. So I met with a bunch of doctors and surgeons, and 6 months later, I had 2 surgeries back to back. I had a double mastectomy and a hysterectomy in the summer of 2019. And after I recovered from that, I kind of walked away thinking, like, it's almost like you have a car accident and you walk away unscathed, like, whoa, that could have been really bad. I feel grateful and honored to have had just the science has come this far that I know that, right? I'm 38 years old, and my chances of getting cancer now are somewhere in the normal range of population people, even with this predisposition. So long story short, I started making batiks behind me as a part of my, I'm an art teacher. I'm a secondary art teacher by day. That's my normal job. And so in my normal class, I was teaching this fibers class, and I started introducing batik, and I fell in love with it again. I had started doing it when I was in high school, and I hadn't done it since. And since then, I've made about 75, 80 batiks based around advocating for genetic testing and cancer predisposition. I took another DNA test from ancestrydna.com in January of this year and found out I'm mostly Scottish. Who knew? And my BRCA gene comes from my Scottish lineage. So behind me, you'll see, I just finished this morning, actually. This is like a tartan design, which is a traditional Scottish design with cancer cells kind of speckled in. So that's a little bit about me.
Sure, that's great to know, and I think it's a very special form of art, and especially with a purpose. So we really appreciate that. So we also welcome Leonora. So she has an initiative called Radiant. So from my understanding, she creates scientific visual illustrations and beautiful visuals for journals in a research environment. So please, can you add on to this, Leonora?
Sure. Well, I'm actually a postdoc, so I don't know if you can hear me. My internet's really bad. I'm a postdoc now. I do work in biochemistry lab doing research all day, and I actually moved to the States from Mexico 4 years ago. So all my studies and all my PhD and everything, I did that in Mexico. And I always had this interest for scientific visualization and doing illustrations for books and journals. But I was so into doing my research and getting a PhD that it was kind of like on the side, but I always kept that interest in there. So when I moved to the States and I started doing my research here, I realized that it's a field that you can actually go in and you can make a living out of it. And since my research now it's getting, I mean, I'm making progress, but I definitely don't think I'm gonna keep working in academia, for example. So I think scientific illustration is more my path. It's something that I really, really love and I am passionate about. So just last year I started working on like 3D animation, 3D softwares, learning and how to improve my skills, because I only knew like illustration as in like Illustrator, Photoshop, 2D. And if you know 3D modeling in science, that's like a big asset, right? So yeah, that's where I am right now. I don't have a job as a scientific illustrator yet because my job is in my lab so far. But I am looking for that opportunity. I think that's gonna, make me happier. So yeah, very much.
Yeah, so that's like very cool to have like two contrasting forms of art in this session. So the first question I would like to ask both of you is, how do you think your work actually impacts this world? So Leonora's work is more concerned to the academicians or scientists, and Kate's work is more related to reaching to public, right? So I want to understand from both of your perspectives, how do you think you're impacting this world? So any one of you can go first.
Yeah, if I may, I think the idea for me is to, even though I'm like my goal is the academic, the researchers or people that need to reflect their science into a journal or something like that. I still want to I still want to make science more approachable for everyone, like bring it to more people. And I think if you have a visual about it, like an animation or something, even though if you have to maybe explain a little bit more, but people will be engaged into that visual and will be able to ask questions and maybe get it more into that. So I think that's the way I'm looking to make an impact, is to bring science to more people, like at least something that make you look at it and ask, oh, what is this about? And why is it moving like this? Or it's a cool shape because like there are a lot of cool shapes on things that people have never seen that are like super tiny, you know? So things like that bring to everyone things that no, but not everyone can see. I think that's what I'm thinking now.
Cool.
I love that. And I feel the same way. See, I admire you because you have the scientific background. If I
Mm.
had it to do all over again, I would be a geneticist. I find it fascinating.
Mm.
But as an artist and a trained educator, I have a master's in teaching art. I don't really know much about science. I've spent the last 2 years doing research on my own, right? Going to these scientific journals, researching, figuring out what does this BRCA gene look like inside my body? How does that so I've become really fascinated with the internal cellular molecular visualizations, right? Most people are cool, especially now in a world where everything's at our fingertips. Let me just look up what that looks like, right? But science hasn't really caught up with it on a microscopic level yet. So I admire that. I'm really fascinated by that. In terms of my art connecting to the public and being accessible, first and foremost, I'm a teacher and a mother, right? So I want my students to be able to see, look, you can have something awful like this genetic mutation, live with it in a positive way, and it's not be scary, right? My art is kind of a way of conquering that. And so I'm showing my own children, I have 2 boys that are young, that it's okay to live with. It's not a scary thing. And students too. I've had 2 students that have come up to me in the last year that said, my mother has this and my grandmother had cancer and I'm really terrified. So talking them through that and being that emotional support person. I also have a support group of women in the Kansas City area that I meet with on a regular basis that are either in my boat with the BRCA gene or have had breast cancer, ovarian cancer. So we kind of help support each other in a personal, physical way. And I'm helping 2 other people in my specific area. One just got diagnosed and is like, I don't even know where to go. Like, what doctor do you go to? What do you start with? You know, so because it's a really overwhelming journey. So I'm just kind of being that support person for them in real life. But online, again, like I was saying before, when you just Google, what is BRCA? What does BRCA mean? You know, I want my work to come up as like oh, look, that's a beautiful thing. Some beauty can come out of it.
Interesting.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So, like both of you, where do you get this inspiration from? Like, for example, how do you come up with what gives you the spark to start off with some kind of illustration or artwork in?
Sorry, are you asking both?
Yeah.
Yes.
So, what gives you the stimulus or spark to exactly start off with some illustration, either by looking at something or something happens in your everyday life that gives you the inspiration to do some work on a particular thing? So, where do you get this inspiration from?
Yeah. So that's the thing, right? Because in science, there's just so much that you can just like open a book or read a paper, and there will be something that's worth put on a drawing or something. Even though if you're trying to explain something to somebody, it's easier if you make a drawing of it and try to explain it that way, right? So anything, like even though if I'm looking to, because I do like making, for example, bugs and I don't know, insects and all that stuff, because I think they're like, it's just so much inspiration in nature and everything that has to do with it. And there are like databases like for researchers where you can actually go and there's just like endless database of proteins and structures and things that you can use and make it just look, you know, different. And I'm sure a lot of people use those resources for that. Mostly that, like just reading something, looking at a micrography. Images from microscopes are also like big source of inspiration. You can just like go and whatever online, Instagram or just Google and look for microscopy images, and that's just like an infinite source of inspiration, I think. Mostly that.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think we probably follow a lot of the same people on Instagram because it is full of pathology, microscopic.
Mm.
Like I follow there's a protein imaging professor in, I think he's in South America somewhere. I messaged him a while ago, like, what does this look like? Can you figure this out? And he was like, yeah, sure. So collaborating with people all over the world, I think it's so cool. It's 7:30 in the morning here, and it's 7 o'clock at night
Yeah.
there. And and you're across the United States, I'm in the middle of the United States, having this conversation, that's just mind blowing to me. But I do want to show you one thing. So I'm in my classroom actually right now. I came to school this morning because I have 2 young children and they would not let me talk for an hour. But these are the 4 that I finished recently. I've been working on those for like the last week. But my like kind of inspiration process, I'm teaching an advanced placement class right now. And part of their work assignment objective is to create a sketchbook, have an essential question, right? What is guiding your visual research? So I'm going to show you some of my kind of sketchbook ideas where those are coming from. And it's hard to, I don't know if I can flip. Yes, I can. Hold on. I've never Instagram lived before. Okay, so here's my sketchbook. And it's just full of like research. It started this summer when I took my first class on figuring out how to teach the class, but just ideas and writings of this is like, what is this death series about? Why am I doing this? And then I make a mind map about metastatic cancer. And then I have, a bunch of sketches that never get turned into things, or maybe they do get turned into things. And then I have critiques, and then I have more sketches. So, my mind maps are all over the place. Right now I'm talking about genetic testing, but I'm also doing some research like, what does my family tree look like? I'm trying to trace my BRCA gene here as far back as I can. What does that Stuart clan look like from my, Scottish heritage? What are those plaids that they look like? What are those traditional plaids? This is the BRCA gene in that imaging processor. And then I traced that, and that becomes one of my things. Here's where my BRCA actually is on my chromosomes. And then this is my actual sequence, like what mine is actually, my mutation is actually. Here's a summary of my variant, and then what that looks like in the genetics genome sequencing, human genome map. So I'm looking at all of those things, and that's kind of where my brain is at in terms of visual research. But then when I actually go to make the work, I'm making it on fabric, right? So it's hard with dye on fabric to get it to control. It's not like in Illustrator where I can be meticulous and I can go back and eraser or not. It's either like, oh, it works or it doesn't. So yeah, I guess mine's a lot more trial and error. But there is the visual research behind it in, my thought process, I guess. That was a long answer.
Cool. That's interesting to see, physically, because it's easy to show around the studio and stuff. Yeah. So my next question is to Leonora, how do you what are the precautions you make to retain the scientific accuracy while you make an illustration? So what are the guidelines you follow to ensure that your image?
Well, I try as much as I can because everything is like in the order of micrometers or Armstrongs, or like it's just so tiny, right? So when it's something about proteins, I just try to keep on the on the structure that comes from the database, and that's it. If you're trying to put it in a different, like a background or something, if it's for journal or like a, like if you're trying to explain something very specific, you do need to keep the accuracy of it. But it helps that you are using structures that are already published and peer reviewed, and everything is like up there, so you can just like use it. If you're trying to reproduce, I don't know, a microorganism or something, it depends for what are you gonna use it. If it's just for like artistic purposes and I want to put it on my Instagram, I might not keep it like super accurate, right? Because like it doesn't matter how many legs it has or not. But if this is something you're gonna use for a research paper or like a grant or something more professional or serious, of course you need to keep the accuracy of it. I don't know, just keeping the size, I guess, because like if you think in that tiny, it's hard to keep in proportions. Like DNA is like in the order of 2.5 nanometers of like the diameter. So it's just hard to think about putting it on a screen. But if you want people to see just like how it is and how it falls and how it twists, I think you're able to do that. I don't know if that answers your question. More or less.
Yeah, cool. I have not created scientific illustrations for research, like for research journal or presenting my work. So I have done only comics, and also trying to draw a simplistic way for the people to understand. So that's why I wanted to specifically know, like how to create scientific illustrations for research papers. Yeah.
And
So
people will ask you, right? Like they will tell you, because it has to be like an open line of communication. So it's just always feedback, and they will tell you, oh, maybe this needs to be like a little twisted this way. Like, I don't think that's that accurate. You need to move it. So it's the same. Like, you have to create a mock-up or like sketch, and then the um the researchers will let you know how accurate that is, or how much do you need to change to make it accurate. Yes.
cool. So, like a follow-up of whatever I just said. So, I'm going to ask Kate, like, how do you actually simplify something scientific into something interesting for the people to understand?
Yeah, so I I'm glad to know that researchers are, to piggyback on what she just said, researchers are telling you like, yes, this is accurate, or no, this isn't. I mean, think about you are one person, but all over the world this is happening with all these new scientific discoveries. There's like 6,000 different variants of just this one BRCA gene right now that we know about. I can't imagine what is going to happen in the future. That's just mind-boggling to me that all of these visual illustrations are coming. It's just the field is advancing so rapidly. So I'm interested to see what happens in 20 years from now or 50 years from now. In terms of my work, getting that to transfer into cloth is really hard. So I've done a couple different things. I'm looking at those protein imaging structures from those scientific databases, but then I'm taking them and putting them in Illustrator and simplifying them, creating just a really high contrast black and white picture, then tracing that. But I also think the scale really helps. This is probably like the smallest that I go, so like 12 by 12 or 16 by 16. But it's easier to spread out the wax and make larger things. So the scale to really enlarge something, it's actually easier to make something more detailed. So scale is really one thing. And when you're talking about nano, tiny little things, and enlarging that to like the size of a wall, it just puts it in people's faces like, you have no choice but to look at this and think about like, wait, how small is that really in my body? And that something that small could determine the way I die. I mean, that's mind-boggling to me. But I think scale is really crucial. And the other thing for me that I just compulsively am attracted to is color. So vibrancy is really important for me. I've always been like that. And I think in the early stages and going like in undergraduate school, I was frustrated a lot because I learned how to do all different kinds of media, right? Oil paint, clay, metal smithing, because to be an art teacher, you have to know it all. You have to kind of be the jack of all trades. But I struggled for a long time with rendering realism in color specifically because I don't like to use like toned down or muted color schemes. I mean, it looks like the rainbow barked on my background right now. And I, for a long time, was really like, there's something wrong with me. But now I realize, like, we don't know what color everything is, and it's okay. You can make it whatever you want right now. I'm interested in the future to see what that really looks like when they
Well, you
figure
know
that
what?
out.
That
I know they're, yeah. Can you
sorry.
talk about that?
Those things are so tiny. Like in reality, it's so tiny that they don't even have a color because the light doesn't even reflect on them. You know,
Right.
they're not able to reflect any wavelength or anything. So they don't have a color, so you can use whatever.
Yeah. Isn't that weird? Like, we're drawing invisible things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but we don't know what color they are. And yeah, it's all up to our imagination. So yeah. So now just like a break, like session, I'm just going to ask this or that. So you can tell this option, or you can choose which of the options you want. So are you a morning person, night person? Like what best gives out your creativity? Morning or night?
Morning.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm
No.
definitely a morning person.
Okay. Actually,
Night owl.
I cannot wake up in the morning, so I am active at night only. I don't know why. Okay. The
Well,
next thing,
yeah, no, after 6 p.m., my brain is gone. Like, I can't.
okay. But in one way, it's advantage for me, like because I can interact with like people from abroad. In my whenever it is night for me, I get chance to interact with people abroad. So in that way, it's
Mm.
convenient. So the next thing is leader or follower. Would you like to lead a team, or you want to be a follower to do the best?
Ah, I enjoy both, as in like, I might take the lead sometimes, but other times I just like kick back and relax. Because yeah, I enjoy it too.
I am a
Okay.
leader
What
by,
about Kate?
um, I'm the firstborn, and that has proven time and time again to that. But I'm just a leader by nature. But the older I get, the more I learn to, yeah, when somebody else has something really important to say, just be quiet and let them take the lead. This is how we learn. In adulthood, I feel like not taking the
Mm,
lead sometimes is the best way to learn.
definitely.
Interesting. Yeah. So the next thing is you better draw inspiration from or from movies or web series. What is your best? Books versus any kind of film.
I totally missed that question. I didn't hear anything.
Cool. So you draw inspiration from books or films, any kind of movies or animations. So what drives your best? Books or animation movies?
Well, I don't know if she's can see us, but is she frozen for you?
No, I think she's frozen.
Okay,
Uh,
I'll
I
answer
was
first.
I was
Well,
frozen, but yeah. Yes.
okay.
okay.
You go, you go.
Um, I I'm both. Um, I like to read. I'm an educator, so the name of the game in education is learning. So I read a lot and I research a lot, and my interests vary widely. So I would say books.
Yeah, I think I will say books too. Um, I don't think there are
Okay.
I can get, inspiration. I don't know. My internet's really bad. That's what's happening.
Sure. Um, no issues. Yeah. So now we'll get to our questions, right? So, like, Leonora, can you tell us about some journals in which you have, for which you have created some names of
Um,
for which you have created illustrations?
well, I don't have anything to show you here. In January actually, in I got the cover of Neuroscience. So that was like a big achievement because that's something I really wanted to do. I don't have a full-time freelance job for this, so I don't really do it a lot. So that was a really cool achievement, and I'm really grateful for the researchers that actually asked me for help. And also, I don't know, when I was in the fungal biology field, that's where I did like that's my PhD research about. So yeah, that's what I did. There are a couple of book chapters about fungal cell development where I did some illustrations, 2D before anything. And in the 3D modeling that I'm doing now, I haven't really put anything out there but that cover, but I'm working on it.
Great. Yeah. So on a similar line, question for Kate is, I have seen that in one of your posts you mentioned plates, tartans, and checks. So can you just tell us in for an outsider who doesn't know anything about this, in just like maybe the crux of it, what are these plates, tartans, and checks?
Oh, plaids, tartans, and checks. Okay, so a tartan is a specific pattern that usually aligns with or represents a specific clan or family in Scotland. And a plaid is usually simpler than a tartan. So tartans have sets of lines, and the type of pattern that they create shows the family that they're from. So my lineage is Stuart. My paternal grandmother was a Stuart. And going back to the Stuart line, the Stuarts were, for 400 years, they ruled Scotland. You can think of Mary, Queen of Scots, as probably like one of the most famous Scottish rulers you can think of. I have 4 Marys in my family. My grandmother was Mary. I'm the first not Mary. But yeah, so tartans describe the clan. A plaid is more simple and doesn't describe a clan. And then a check is just a square, right? A opposite pattern, like a checkerboard or a chessboard. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So my next question is for Leonora. You Blender a lot, right? So Blender is one of the tools which you frequently use. So can you tell us like one tip for how to start using Blender for someone who doesn't know Blender?
Yeah. Well, at the beginning it was very overwhelming because if you open the program and you are lost in this 3D space, right? And it's like, I don't know what I'm doing here. So I went
Yeah.
to YouTube to look for tutorials, and there's just so much, and the program is so powerful. People do like they make movies just using that. So if you don't know where to start, that's like it's just overwhelming. So I actually found a couple of people on Twitter that have like specific tutorials for biochemists and for scientific visualization kind of thing. So I actually follow those people and just follow the tutorials, and that's how I started. But it took me a few months. It was just like when the lockdown started, like March, around that. So then, like it was a bit overwhelming, but if you find the right tutorials, um, it's easier that way. I still don't know the full program, like it's just like there are so many things, and I don't think I'm gonna use the whole set of tools that it has, but so far uh, I can find my way around it.
Cool.
Yeah, you too.
I teach beginning art to high schoolers. And in our first art class, we go through the basics of Photoshop, how to open it, how to open Illustrator, how to make and copy a picture, how to cut it out. That takes days, just like 101. And they are lost in the beginning. And the first time I started teaching that, I wanted to beat my head against the wall. Like, how do you not understand file open? But they don't until you learn it the first time. And then once it's riding a bike,
Yeah.
once you get it the first time, you're like, oh yeah, I can figure it out. But it's such a complex program. You can do anything in it. Like, how do you decide what to do in it? It's really overwhelming. I get that.
Cool. Yeah, I have not tried
Yeah,
my
and how
hands
to
on Blender
learn how
yet,
to
so
use every
whenever I'm
tool
trying,
from
I'm
the
sure.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's some that you're like, why would you ever need
My
this?
internet sucks.
It's okay.
Yeah, it happens sometimes. Cool. Yeah, so my next question is for Kate. Like, how did you get this love for batik? Because I also love batik. Because when we lived in Indonesia, my father used to buy batik for me. So I want to know, like, what gave you the love for batik?
Yeah, I'm a Midwestern art teacher. Why would I? That's so great question. So my mother went to Malaysia when I was in early high school, and she brought back a janting tool. Hang on, I'll be right back. I'm gonna go get one.
Cool.
This thing. And she brought me back a batik shirt, a t-shirt. I still have it. I should have worn it today. I didn't. Anyway, this tool has a wooden handle, and then it has a metal spout, and you dip it in hot wax here, and the wax comes out here, and it pours out. And I actually have my wax pot on if you want to see that in a minute. I can show you that. But so she brought me back this tool in high school and a t-shirt, and she was like, she went to a batik factory, and she saw, these people making this. And I had started to get into art a little bit at the time. And she was like, you should try this. So long story short, I spent my entire senior year of high school just messing around with batik and trying to figure it out. I made my prom dress. I made a couple of huge batiks. And then I went to undergrad for painting and teaching art. And like I said before, I had to do a multitude of things to learn how to be, a jack of all trades. So I have to learn all of the things. And then I got my first job teaching middle school art. And so that's like teenagers, like 12 to 14-year-olds. And it was just basic art 101, like how to draw the 5 basic shapes and start shading and things like that. Then I started teaching high school, and I got back to teaching a fibers class, this batik class, like I said last year. So I've been teaching for about 14 years. I hadn't touched batik in 20 years, and started, I had to do an example for a class and kind of fell back into the love of it. Yeah, so my mom went to Malaysia when I was in middle school or in high school, and that's what got my love of batik started.
Okay, so we share a similarity now. Our parents got us the love for batik. So,
Yeah.
Cool. So my next question for Leonora, how do you start collaborating with scientists? So when someone asks you to illustrate something, how do you actually go about the conversation with them?
Well, you need to know what's the full background of the research. So The first thing is they explain to you a little bit what is it about, and then they have to send you everything they have about it, like links to read stuff or the papers or some like sketches that they already have. Yeah, for the cover, for example, my background is not I don't know anything about neuroscience or anything like that, right? So I had the main researcher explaining to me what was the whole thing about and what about the group of mice that they had and what conditions were like everyone and everything. So you can't put every detail on the illustration, so you have to come up with some kind of concept that like puts everything together. So yeah, so I just made like a little sketch and started modeling, and they were happy with the first draft, so that was good. But yeah, it's just that, and as I said before, just keep an open line of communication because you need their feedback, right? And they need to get what they need to portray their science. But it's mostly reading and understanding. You get to hit the wall sometimes because you don't understand the science behind it, right? So it takes a little bit of time to get every detail of it. But just
So
reading.
yeah. So I think this is interesting because then it's like a cumulative knowledge. You get to know about the research of many people. Yeah. Cool.
Hmm.
So question for
Yes.
Kate is, I read in one of the posts like you mentioned you don't have to live in fear. So what is your like one piece of tip for all of them who are facing some kind of challenge, right? So everybody faces some kind of challenge in their life. So what is your message for them?
So what I tell my own students, and my own children are too little to really understand this yet, is you have to be true to yourself all the time, no matter what. And if you know something's wrong, like I went to this doctor that, looking back now, I realize, oh yeah, shouldn't have listened to them. And they're a doctor, right? Like I think I'm
Hmm.
not a doctor. You should know what you're talking about. But they weren't a good fit for me, and I didn't listen to my intuition, and I should have. So listening to your gut and always speaking up when you know something's wrong or it's not okay. And I had this conversation yesterday with a student. She walked into my classroom and I just knew, even with a mask on, she was not okay. Something was not okay. And I'm teaching, these moody teenagers, and I tell them all the time, it's not normal to cry every day, guys. This is, even in a pandemic, it's not normal to cry every day. And if you're, not feeling okay and something's wrong, you have to advocate for yourself and speak up. So I knew something was wrong and I asked her, "Are you okay today?" And she said, "Yeah, I'm fine." And normally I would have left it alone, but my mothering intuition said, "I don't think so." So I, walked up to her later and I just said, "I know something's not okay with you today. And if you want to talk about it, I'm here to listen." And she did. She just spilled her guts to me, basically. And that happens all the time. But it's that intuition of, something's not right. Listen to yourself. Speak up for yourself.
Cool. Yeah, I'm sure like this is like one line which needs to be written on our wall or maybe on our laptop or something which we need to see every day, right? So yeah.
Yes.
So my last question for Leonora is, can you tell us your experience about any kind of cancer inhibitory proteins?
Oh, sorry, I missed it.
Yeah.
That was for me. I missed that. Can
Can
I
you
tell
tell us your
you? Can you
experience?
repeat that?
Yeah, sure. Can you tell us your experience in illustrating about cancer inhibitory proteins? Okay, let me try typing.
Yeah, Yeah, that would be awesome. I can't hear the last part.
Okay. Yeah. Is it visible now?
No, I don't know how this works.
Okay.
No, that's all right.
Cool.
Can you try to repeat the question?
Okay.
Illustrating
Sure.
cancer, you said? Sorry.
Okay. I'm asking your experience about illustrating cancer inhibitory proteins.
Oh, I see. I
Yeah.
no, you know that I haven't. It's a topic that I know there's a lot of people working on, and it's a topic that that I haven't been like drawn to, um, because there's already a lot of artwork and research about it, and I'm sure you can find a lot of things out there. I haven't done any, and I haven't done any research about proteins that inhibit that. But it's a field that's been, growing for the last, I don't know, 10, 20 years. So there's just so much about it out there. So I think that's why I haven't really gone into that. Um, there's a lot of information, but no, I haven't dig in that yet.
Cool. Uh, yeah.
So,
So I would like to end this with a rapid fire session. So
Okay.
I'll just ask, like, you can give like one line or one word answers. So my first question is for Kate. If you were to live like a fictional character for one day, which character will you choose?
I don't know. That's hard. Harry Potter.
Okay, Harry Potter. Yeah. Okay, so my next question for Leonora is, what is your strangest dream? The
my
strangest dream.
strangest dream? Well, I was, that I woke up today with cravings of a bagel and cream cheese and tomato and lettuce, because that's what I was dreaming. And I could feel the bagel in my hand and looking at the cream
Oh,
cheese and drinking this like Mexican drink that we have back home. And I could like I was shaking it. You know how you shake like a beverage and the bottom it's like dissolving and things. I could see that in my dream, so I will go with that because it's the most recent one. And I guess I was just hungry, but yeah.
Yeah, my second question is for both of you because I think it's a very important question. How often do you clean your room, or how often do you clean your desktop files?
Very often I try to keep my desktop very organized. I'm a little obsessed about that kind of order.
Okay,
Yeah.
I am not. But in a school setting, right now during COVID, every day.
cool.
Okay.
Yeah. In my case, like for example, if I have my table, I like to keep all the artistic stuff, like brushes and stuff, so that it gives me a feeling that I have to do something. So I won't say it's not clean, but I like to pile up my desk objects that I need at my work. So that's what I do. Yeah. So my next question for Kate is, what is the one silly thing that makes your day? What is
I
the thing
uh,
that you do for every day?
I have a 5-year-old, and if you've ever been around small children, they're just weird and hysterical. I also have a 4-month-old puppy, and yeah, they just bring me joy every single day. This morning,
Mm.
they woke up and they were like, "Mom, we have to do this right now." I was like, it's 5:30 in the morning. Okay, slow down. But my babies.
Cool.
Yeah, they're funny, right? At that age.
Cool. So my last question for Leonora is, if you had the chance to prank your friend, what prank will you make? Especially in a lab
Oh,
setting, specific to a research
uh,
lab setting.
I don't know. I'm not, I don't know. I think it will be really mean to mess up with their tubes, for example. Like you can like mess their things around or hide things for them. Because if you can't find a tube in that setting, then you're screwed. But I wouldn't do it. But that's something, it's a prank, but I wouldn't do it.
Yeah, we can do something which will affect the experiment or something. So cool. That's still a cool answer. Yeah. So
Yeah.
uh, yeah, so we have come to the end of the session today. So I would like to thank both of you for joining us today,
Thank
and I'm very much it's one of my favorite sessions because these two forms of art are very contrasting to each other. But I think both forms of art should go along with each other to for science to continue, right? So I really thank both of you for joining together, especially today, and I hope that you also enjoyed this experience. If you would like to say something, please.
I just want to thank you. That's it. You did a great job with the questions, and I can imagine that it's hard, it's weird, and the internet sucks, but you did great. And thank you for inviting me.
Same. And I'm so glad that I got to meet you and talk to you. And it
Yeah.
it's one thing to be on the other side of the world doing something completely different. It's another thing to have a conversation with somebody. It's also really weird that somebody else out there wants to know more about me and my life. So I'm honored and grateful. So thanks.
Sure. It's always nice to meet inspired people, so we are always welcome. So thank you once again. We hope to connect with you in a possible occasion or collaboration opportunity. So see you. Bye for now. Bye.
Okay, thanks.
Uh-huh. Bye. Thanks.